It was 1985 and Ken Webster and his girlfriend were renovating their 18th century brick cottage in Dodleston, England, shortly after moving in. The renovations unearthed some unusual activity. Nick, Ken's visiting guest, spotted footprints with 6 toes imprinted in the dust, walking up the wall between the kitchen and bathroom. The trio dismissed it as a prank. Despite painting over them, they reappeared the next day. Over the next few days, cold gusts of wind, shadows, and the eerie presence of an invisible entity haunted the residents of Meadow Cottage. They even found strange footprints in the dust on the floor, and tins of cat food neatly stacked in a pyramid. Was there a poltergeist in Meadow Cottage in Dodleston? Or was the spirit of a previous resident of the cottage still hanging around and being mischievous? But this activity was about to take an even stranger turn when Ken, a teacher at a local school, brought home a BBC microcomputer borrowed from the school. Soon after the computer was set up, typed messages mysteriously started to appear on the monitor. In 1985, the internet wasn't mainstream, and this computer wasn't connected to any network. The first message appeared in the form of an ominous poem. Many more messages followed, and the author appeared to be able to see both Ken and Debbie and asked who they were before accusing them of stealing his house. It said, "I write on behalf of many. What strange words you speak. You're a worthy man who has a fanciful woman who dwell in my home, with lights which the devil makes. It was a great crime to have bribed my house. L.W." Over the next 18 months, even more messages continued to appear on the computer monitor. Determined to discover who was behind them, Ken asked a series of questions to try and find out the identity of the writer. The messages were cryptic, misspelled, grammatically odd, and impossible to ignore. Most notably, however, the man writing the messages claimed to be from the year 1546. The writer, after initially giving his name as Lucas, confessed his name was Thomas Harden or Hawarden. A vicar with this name did appear to live around this time at a church in Gloucestershire. Ken and his girlfriend could not see Thomas, even though Thomas could apparently see them, and what was going on in the house. Debbie, Ken's girlfriend, however, did see Thomas in dreams on several occasions. Did the writer of the messages ever live in Meadow Cottage? Was Thomas Harden or Hawarden a real person who existed before this contact occurred? Thomas Hawarden, the vicar who lived in a church in Gloucestershire in the 1500s, was he the spirit leaving messages on the computer? As soon as I heard all this, I had to try and see if I could find Alice in the records. I was amazed when I found this. The only Alice I could find who lived in Kinnerton Road, Dodleston, the same road where Meadow Cottage is. When she lived there, it's quite possible it wasn't called Meadow Cottage. And what amazed me the most is this. The district or borough that Dodleston came under in the 1800s. Just look at that. Hawarden. That can't be a coincidence. Okay, let's keep going. This communication became even more weird when Ken types a message to Thomas on the computer that he's living in 1985. Thomas appears confused. Thomas said he had also been communicating with a friend from 2109, and thought Ken was living in that time as well. Intrigued by this, Ken decided to write to 2109 on the computer, curious to see what would happen. 2109 responded. The message read, "Try to understand that you three have a purpose that shall in your lifetime change the face of history. We, 2109, must not affect your thoughts directly, but give you some sort of guidance that will allow room for your own destiny. All we can say is that we are all part of the same God, whatever he is." Was 2109 really from the future? Was 2109 human, alien, or something else? Was 2109 perhaps another identity of Thomas's, especially as he had first introduced himself as Lucas? Paranormal investigators were invited into the cottage by the couple. Despite attending on 3 occasions, no activity occurred. Eventually, Thomas said he was being forced from his land and was never heard from again. But before he stopped his communications, Thomas said that he is writing the story of events from his perspective, and that he will leave the book where it could be discovered in the future. Messages from 2109 also said the book would be found at some point. As far as we know, to this date, no such book has been discovered. Where did Thomas hide his book? Can you give us the name of the place where it is and any extra details so we can find it, please? Is there any way that Thomas or 2109 could come through and tell me where this book is, please? Where was Nick in all of this? Ken's guest. Did he have anything to do with these computer messages? Was it all some big hoax, or was it actually real, or only partially true? There is so many more details to this really intriguing mystery, it would take far too much time to cover it all, so do seek out more if you're interested. Ken even wrote a book about it, called The Vertical Plane. So was it a ghost, a case of different timelines and realities merging, or just a very elaborate hoax? I'll leave it up to you to decide.